attention and informing the public about a matter of public interest. I would like to add that the transformation strategy, which the Chancellor came up with, clearly pointed out the challenges at the University of Nairobi, one of which being weak governance at the University of Nairobi. Secondly, financial challenges. And we, as a professor, we agree that he did actually point out the right issues that are facing, or challenges facing the university. But the prescription is wrong. He comes with the prescription that will kill the university. We have seen Moi University being strangled to death in our eyes. Public universities must get the protection they need. We are calling government to protect the University of Nairobi. It's a national asset that the public has invested for so long. We cannot allow it just to collapse. The Chancellor prescribes and says, I have my office on main campus to support the management of it. That is not his role and mandate. The mandate of the Chancellor is found in the Universities Act. If you go to Article 38, it will tell you what is supposed. It's a titular head of the university. It's not supposed to engage in day-to-day running of the university. Secondly, what he's trying to do is actually going to do the opposite, weakening the management of the university. Now we have 3 centers of power. At the University of Nairobi, we have the council, saber-rattling from one side. We have the VC. We have the Chancellor. It is so confusing. These people are weakening the management of the university in order to loot and plunder. They say it very clearly that they are going to sell assets of the university to help the university to deal with the debts. You can't sell your home in order to pay debt. You become destitute. Government can bail out universities. Debts are accumulating because government has reduced capitation to universities. University of Nairobi is receiving less than 40% of what it's supposed to receive. University should receive 100% capitation to keep them afloat if government has an interest to save universities from collapse, but not to sell its assets. As we speak, there are people, business people out here, and politicians, that are now struggling with what to take from the university. There's some who have actually eyeing land that is just behind KBC, the studio there, between Boulevard, around there, apartments that belong at the graduate apartments. They want to grab it. This is a fact. Let them say it is not. And that is the basis upon which this transformation strategy for 24 months is about. The Chancellor is having a viola, which is being paid over 500,000 shillings by the university in current per month. He has 10 security armed police to guard him. He doesn't have confidence in this nation. He's from a different country, from outside Kenya, and if he thinks that Kenya or Nairobi is so unsafe for him, he should go back to his home country. He can go and work elsewhere. What we expect is that he strengthens the university by playing his role. The council also is supposed to play its role, clearly defined in the statutes, in the charter, and in the Universities Act. They must act within the law. Otherwise, we call upon the minister or the CS, Migoso Gambak, in education, to take quick action. We are not ready to watch our university collapse and die in our eyes, in front of us. He must take an action. He should send the council home immediately. They should not wait until what they did in Moi happens. Moi is being bailed out, and they're taking action, remedial actions, when it is already on its knees. We want this to happen right now. We also call upon the EACC to swiftly move into the university. There is abuse of office by the council and the chancellor. There is also a violation of the law, and especially Chapter 6 of the Constitution. You cannot manage an institution for personal benefits, or you become proxies or politicians outside the university just to loot the university dry. Finally, the university also has reneged on the total implementation of the CBA, National CBA 2021-2025. The reason we do not understand, we have talked to them, we have written to them, there is no response. But what you get is that the council is thinking about it. Yet the council does not have any responsibility in negotiation of CBAs, implementation of CBAs, national CBAs, especially the retirement age. And they're using the retirement age as a card to punish some of the professors who are retiring. They want them out because they are outspoken, because they do a good job. They want them to leave before they implement. But we are saying it should be implemented now because we have only 1 week. We are saying 7 days. We'll call out our members into strike. And we are together, the 3 unions, that we shall do this and we shall stop all activity, all work at the university to ensure that these things are done. Before we get there, we give them that grace period. Quickly act. And we ask also the head of state to intervene because this is his own alma mater. He is an alumnus of the University of Nairobi. And he should also swing into action. Because what is happening is like we don't have rules. We don't have a country. The country is there and we have rules. The council and the chancellor must obey rules. They can't hold staff at hostage. No action is taken because the council says, VC, you cannot do that. VC, you cannot do that. The university must be left to run as a public institution with all the freedoms and with all the rights. Thank you.
All right, I think now we can move to the Q&A session. Let's take a couple of questions. We can actually be procedural. We start from this side. We come, members of the Fourth Estate for having made time for this presser. The structure of this presser is that first, I will outline the statement. I will read out the statement. And then after reading out the statement, I will invite the chairman, Dr. Bosire, Ambassador Dr. Bosire, to also say a word, and then we'll move to a Q&A session. This statement will also be available to you. We can actually make provision for a hard copy so that we do not want to be misquoted for anything that we have said and for the clarity of the information we want to put out. It's for that reason that we'll provide you with this hard copy. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate. This is a rallying call to the President, the Public Service Commission, to the Minister of Education, Parliament, and all stakeholders of goodwill. The University of Nairobi, as we know it, is dying. That is the truth. And we say this not to create panic or gin up unnecessary attention, but out of our care as UASU for this great national strategic institution. University of Nairobi has been hijacked by buccaneers, and it is now a theater of intrigue, mendacity, with the most toxic work environment ever witnessed before. As a rule, UASU stands only by the truth, by justice, and above all by the motto of the university, United et Labore, unity and work. The following 4 issues underpin the sense of this press conference. Number 1, a 24-month transformational strategy crafted by the Chancellor in total isolation of staff and its key implications, legal and financial. Ladies and gentlemen, There is a document that has been crafted by the Chancellor, Professor Vakoyen, and which we will share with you today. We will share that document with you. That was apparently launched and then adopted by Council as a 24-month strategy to turn around the university. This document is full of bluster, as we will see. It's full of illegalities. Worst of all, staff are unaware such a document even exists. They are uninvolved. And for us as WASU, we fear that this is a document that is going to prepare University of Nairobi for an auction. They are looking at university assets. That is why this document wants to form things called special purpose vehicles, which we know will be wound down after they do what they have to do. These vehicles are supposed to evaluate university assets. This document illegally wants to tinker around with the composition of the council so that it includes legal and management experts who we know already are identified. That is an alien structure that you cannot impose on the university council. It contravenes the charter that the university has. And we don't understand why that chancellor, the new chancellor, something that has never happened, should suddenly require that the university has him a high-end house in Karen on the expense of the university. We don't understand when he says he is unsafe and he needs security, and the council chair gleefully writes to the commissioner of police requiring, that's Masengeli, requiring him that he wants 4 policemen. The chancellor is also going ahead to become a cost center by even establishing an office around the towers. All these are cost center issues, yet we are talking about an institution that is in financial dire straits. That document, again, burdens the university by suggesting that the council should have bi-monthly meetings. Bi-monthly meetings. The cost of hosting council in one session is close to $500,000. You can imagine bi-monthly meetings, how much the university is going to lose. And that is aside from the meetings they might also have. And all this cost has to be borne by a broke university. This is straight up thuggery and a complete departure from that fiscal fidelity that the university desperately needs. For the record, I want the public to know, the university already has a strategic 5-year plan that was launched in 2023, running all the way to 2027, and it was launched through public participation at the university. Launched by people like Professor Mande, Professor Ken Ogola. They are the ones who actually launched it. And it was approved by Treasury. It was approved by the ministry. We don't understand this thing called 12-month strategy by the council, the chancellor. We are therefore demanding that this document is withdrawn and any of its intended actions vacated immediately. Number 2, the overreach by the council chair, Professor Mkoa Nangu. Now I want you to understand this. Ever since the appointment of Professor Amukoa Anangwe as the chair of council of the University of Nairobi, the university has experienced the most tumultuous period of bad governance. What litigated his appointment? And the court actually agreed without. It found that he was illegally constituted and appointed as a council, but then strangely, the court also said that they don't want to leave a vacuum at the university, strangely. And I say strangely because by the time it was coming, we have a lot of history where we have stayed even for over 6 months without a council. So they allowed him to serve as chair of council. We have seen a very bizarre situation when conduct Vice Chancellor Designate, Professor Anangwe, has unilaterally and personally penned transfer letters. We will share with you. I want you to see, because we don't want to talk about something as if it's conjecture. We'll share with you. He has extended staff contracts at his own personal whim. He sits in junior interviews, junior internal interviews, so that he can skim off allowances. Been an acting capacity. Whereas there are memos which exist from the Chief of Staff and the Head of Public Service showing the separation of powers between council and managers of public institutions. Professor Anangwe has ignored each one of these memos. In fact, Professor Anangwe is on record even calling deans, and we will share with you again that he's calling deans to direct operations of faculties. This is interference beyond what we have ever seen. And for us, we have been asking, if Professor Anangwe wants the Vice Chancellor, why can't he apply for that post? Why is he doing the job? Why is he usurping these roles if he is not interested in that job in the first place? This is what we are demanding. That the Education Committee of Parliament move Professor Amko Anangwe and his council members for running the University of Nairobi like a kiosk. We also demanded that the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Migos Ogamba, we are also giving warning that we are going to call out our members kind of confidence in Professor Anangwe as the council chair of the University of Nairobi. He is part of the problem, and we are saying this to the public, that we will call out our members specifically. He left the university when he was appointed by President Moi, and President Moi fired him again over corruption matters. This is on record. I want you to go back to your records and you'll find what we are saying is true. Let him not in any way imagine he's going to run the University of Nairobi down. We will call out our people specifically for Professor Anangwe to go home. We don't want Professor Anangwe. We don't have any confidence in Professor Anangwe. Let him go. Number 3. The non-existent position of the Chief Operations Officer. Now, while the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has pronounced itself on this matter, there is one gentleman at the university, one Brian Ouma, who occupies a non-existent position of Chief Operations Officer. And it is through the University Council's inaction that he continues to stay. That means the council is abetting this illegality. The Public Service Commission has never created such a position. Nowhere in the universities, public universities in Nairobi, in Kenya, exists such a position. There's nowhere that position exists in our statutes. We don't have any such position in any university in Kenya. Ask yourself, is it any wonder then that our ranking as University of Nairobi has been plummeting? Bad governance. And you have seen this on record. Our ranking keeps plummeting because of such kind of issues, and specifically for such kind of offices, and specifically also because of such bad governance gaffes. Let the public know this, that their taxes, because these are public institutions being funded by the public, their taxes are actually being used to finance an illegal position, while a rogue council encourages this wastage of public funds. We demand, therefore, an immediate revocation of the Chief Operations Officer position at the University of Nairobi. And we urge the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service and the Cabinet Secretary, once again, Minister of Education, to take this action against the council, which is encouraging this. We also call upon the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission to pronounce itself. Have more bite than backing. Bite, stop backing. Last issue. The advertisement of VC and DVC at the University of Nairobi. In January this year, 21st, the Public Service Commission advertised the position of Vice Chancellor and only one position of Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academic affairs. I want you to understand that none of the positions, senior positions in the university have been filled on substantive terms. All of them are active. So they advertised. But now, strangely, here's the strange thing. The position of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Planning, the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Human Resources, the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Student Affairs, why were they left out? We want the public to understand this. The positions I've enumerated exist in our statutes. They do. And we want to the public to also understand simple facts. Someone is orchestrating a nefarious act by omitting these 3 Deputy Vice Chancellor positions because they have been collapsed into that Chief Operations Officer position, which is illegal. This is not only manifestly illegal governance maneuvering, it goes against the statutes of the university. And the only beneficiary, ask yourself, the only beneficiary then is that person called Chief Operations Officer, once again. What we are saying is this. Traditionally, senior positions at the university were held by full professors. The masquerade right now operating there as Chief Operations Officer is hardly anyone close to being a full professor. We demand, therefore, that the Public Service Commission should revoke the advertisement that was issued on 21st of January and issues a new advert that will have the known positions of Deputy Vice Chancellors as clearly stated in the University of Nairobi statutes. And such an advert should also not bear any demands, because if you look at that advert, which I will share with you again, there are demands there that someone must have knowledge of the illegal transformational strategy that was, again, mooted by the Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, I want the Fourth Estate, we request the Fourth Estate, please speak out loudly. Help save the University of Nairobi. Councils, chancellors, they come and go. And we have seen them. They come and go. But they leave the staff behind. And the staff only have the University of Nairobi to fall back to. It is that staff, it is the students, and the parents who will suffer irreparable damage if this university is allowed to go down. And we fear that if nothing is done, the University of Nairobi as we know it is dying. Thank you very much. Let me invite the chair so that he can say a word or two before we can go into the Q&A session. Switch.
Thank you very much, members of the Fourth Estate, for giving